Oh, hello. Welcome. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's just re-put that in. What's happening, YouTube? Hello. My ring light is not working anymore. I'm kind of sad about it. Need to get another one. Um, but welcome anyhow. My name is Amelie, and you are watching Solastic Intelligence and Podcasts. I go live every week. My hair is a little crazy today. Just fix it. Fix it. I don't have a makeup person. But welcome so much. So we are going to be talking today, episode number 77, about apocalypse. And we're going to be looking into the etymology of the apocalypse and really just going down of what I think it is and what it means to us today. And it's not anything new to me. This is something that a concept that I've held for a long time in some groups that I'm in, and so it's really was really helpful to kind of put what the true meaning of apocalypse is to it, because I think well, we'll get into it, that it causes a lot of people fear because of the way that we think of it in our minds. But yeah, so I hope everybody is doing well. Wonderful. Figure out where my notes are here. What is happening? Okay. So, the word apocalypse, we're going to look at the etymology of it first and foremost, like I was saying. So, over the last week, I've been looking into, some of the fears of AI, and, I've really separated it out into, we just went through this information age, which I also coined the digital age. I think both of these are kind of a similar topic. Aw, thanks, Deborah. Dr. J, hello. It's a great topic, yeah. And it's something I think about quite often. So, and I think a lot of people think about quite often. They think, oh my gosh, it's the apocalypse. So a lot of the conversations that I hear, because I just kind of listen to what people are saying and then piece together and connect all that information together and attempt to kind of get the vibe of what is out in the zeitgeist or out in the realm. And the apocalypse is one of them. So a lot of people are afraid. They're looking out, and with the internet, with social media, we have access to things that we never really had access to before. So that's just one piece of this foundation of what we're going to be building on. But we have access, and it's great to have that access, but it's also kind of overwhelming to have such an abundant amount of information. We don't know how to cycle through it, and it can be very overwhelming. The girl, hello. Parker White King, gross teeth. Thank you. So, going through the digital age and having this overabundance of information is really cognitively overloaded. And I think when we start to kind of parse through all of the information that we have, it almost numbs you or stuns you that you are unable to work through it and organize it and pattern it. And so that's why I think the AI coming in is such a great introduction into how do we take all of this information that we have, which was in and of itself a super, like, it was a power. And when we look at power, it's something that we're looking at. We want to have a little bit of power in our lives. And so, in the days of old, having knowledge and was a piece of having power, because when you had knowledge, you were able to, leverage that knowledge and control certain groups of people. Mike's in the house. Hello. Okay, so when we're looking at all that information and we're sorting through that information, I think that AI came at a great time to help us to do that. So, AI, really what it is with the large language models, or LLMs, as you may have heard it be called, it really easily, so that now you have a way to kind of go through, sort it, and quickly like move on to the next thing. It really is this, it's really answering this cognitive overload we can be experiencing. I know this isn't the topic of the live stream, but I just wanted to ask, do you support our great President Trump? I mean, I spent most of my time in politics in like the 2010s, the 20 teens. And I mean, I love America, so that's really the one question. Like, I love America and I love being an American. I think that the most important part of our political system is being involved in our local areas. And I don't know if I don't really support any president. But I'm not going to sit here and talk bad about my country either. All right, so let's really get down into it. So when we think about the apocalypse, a lot of people are going to think fire, destruction, and even the end of the world. And part of me looking at what are people afraid of when they're thinking about AI, and like, there are legitimate fears. So I don't want to downplay any of the fears that people may have, because the fear is real to them. And the idea of super intelligence is also something that, I think a lot of people are truly terrified about AI. But apocalypse in and of itself comes from the Greek word apocalypse, and APO, where is your super chat? Where is gifting option? You can buy me a coffee. It's in my description. So the first part of that means away from, off, or to remove, and then calypse is covering, veil, or concealment. So really what apocalypse means is to remove the veil, to uncover, or to reveal what has been hidden. And when you think about it in that way, it really isn't about fire, destruction, the end of the world. It really is about revelation, or the end of the things that are being hidden, the end of things that are covered. And that when we think about that, right, that doesn't sound like a bad thing. At least in my opinion, it doesn't sound like a bad thing. When you're uncovering and revealing truth and revealing any revelation, I think if you've ever had a revelation or an epiphany in your own life, you know how exciting and exhilarating that feels. The apocalypse isn't fundamentally about destruction, meaning like the physical world destruction. It could destroy these covert systems that have been put together, and maybe we're starting to see some of that. And sorry, my son is talking to me, actually signing to me. So the apocalypse isn't about necessarily about destruction. It could be destruction if we look at it in what the actual term means, the destruction of those that are putting things together, systems together that are falling apart. So some of these systems that we can look at maybe like political systems that are set up, and they're not functioning in the way that they should be for, maybe they should be for the people. And so now things are kind of getting turned on their head, revealed, and then the truth, the sunlight that goes into that, or the light that goes into that and reveals that truth, is going to destroy certain aspects of things. But I don't think just for the everyday human that is going through life, it's not going to necessarily destroy their way of being. Okay. I think most people have, they're genuine, nice people, at least in America. I think that there's a lot of genuinely nice people that just want to live their lives to the fullest and have beautiful, wonderful, connected communities, and have a nice network of their neighborhood. Okay. So if it's about revelation and it's not about this catastrophic destruction, then, we really would do well to look at, what does the apocalypse mean to me? Okay. America. Man, let me tell you this. We should be grateful to Donald Trump that Donald Trump is our president. Otherwise, the state of this country would be just like that of the United Kingdom. I don't know. I don't necessarily think that. I'm not really going to get too deep into the United States government. However, I love the Constitution. I love the idea of it being this foundation of our country. I've done a lot. I wanted to be a lawyer for a while, but I've done a lot of research on the Constitution, the rights, why it was put together, why governments form, and like there really isn't a document that's the best out there aside from the Constitution at this moment that I would sign my name to. So I do agree that America is great. It's not because of the president, it's because of the people that are in it. You, me, and any other American citizen that's, in the country, that's, following the following the Constitution. I think that's what makes America great. It's not a person, it's an idea. Okay? All right. So if we look at the apocalypse being a revelation, just getting into part one of what we're talking about, so what if we're living through an apocalypse now? And the apocalypse isn't the destruction, it's not the end of the world, and it's not AI, okay? But AI is a part of this unveiling, and it's not the end of humanity. And I hear this quite often, and that's why I'm like speaking into this, like, because people are like, oh my gosh, they see the revelation of, and I watch a lot of true crime, so I understand, and I see a lot of the chat in the true crimes where people are like, oh my gosh, humanity is so horrible, like we need a world reset. Well, we're kind of in this reset right now. And so people are looking at they're like kind of, what do they call it? Tunnel visioning into these different pockets of life. Because obviously there's a lot of negative things out there, but we can't just zone in on each and every area and think, oh my gosh, now because this is happening, instead of all the good that's happening, because this one thing is happening, humanity is doomed, okay? And I just don't agree with that. I don't think that because we're in this revelation stage of humanity, that it is the end of humanity. On On the contrary, it is an unveiling of our humanity. So AI really is here to be this like mirror to us and be a support system to us to move into this next era of power that we're going into. Now, if the digital age or information age, as I call it, kind of call it back and forth, was a way to deliver the power of knowledge and information to the people, then AI is also this other delivery mechanism that is delivering a new power to the people. Hopefully that makes sense to you. AI really has become a mirror to us, and that mirror is really pressing back at us and making us reveal what kind of fears we do have, okay, about whatever the future is, whatever our present is. It really is looking at that as this, what do they call it? It's a mirror, but it's really just kind of opening up what is within us. And AI is causing us to ask uncomfortable questions. And it's not about machines, it's not about the technology, but it really is about ourselves, okay? All of these powers that we've gone through in our whole collection of humanity, of civilization, as civilizations have formed, they've risen and fallen, have all caused us as people to look at, well, what does this mean to me? What does this mean to my identity? Somehow found me, I don't know how, but that's amazing. So let's look at why superintelligence might be frightening us. So there are, like I said, there are practical reasons why superintelligence would deserve our serious attention, which attention is the next mineable resource. I want you to remember that. Your attention is like the greatest currency that is going to be in the next coming age that we're in, the age of AI. Your attention is the mineable resource, all right? So there are practical reasons why looking at superintelligence, why it might frighten us, okay? So one is employment and economic disruptions. And we'll start to see that. And it's nothing to be terrified of, but people will hold those fears. And it's really important to face those fears and realize that we as humans have gone through this transition a number of times. If you think about all of the recessions that we've been through, if you think about the Industrial Revolution and all the, inventions that once people were doing a lot of the farm work, the mining work, and all that stuff, once machines came in, those machines displaced labor. And so we had to look at labor in a different way. Hello. Where are you guys watching from is what I want to know. I'm from Oregon, USA. Okay, so employment and economic disruptions are one of the things that really deserve our attention. We can really start to look and analyze, like, okay, where's the employment? Where's the labor going to go? What are the economic disruptors? Right now, I think it's just lettuce that has been contaminated, and so it's like a huge thing where lettuce is being recalled. And I think it said 27 states, which was crazy. But you see that economic disruption, okay? These egg farms, those were experiencing economic disruption in 2021, 2022. It was like I just saw in the news, it was just kind of this beacon of like, oh my gosh, this eggplant, this eggplant all had these catastrophic fires, and then all of a sudden the cost of eggs go up, all right? I don't think they've actually gone down to the levels they were before all of that disruption. But you'll start to see these disruptions, okay? And then other practical reasons might be misinformation and deep fakes, okay? So you are going to see a lot more AI, a lot more misinformation, and if you're able to kind of catch that misinformation or catch the deep fake, you'll see it. You'll see it. But it's going to get more and more sophisticated as AI becomes a little bit more prevalent in our society. Yeah, someone went number 2 on the list. Do you have a daughter? I don't have a daughter. Well, that's something that people don't think about, okay? So if you're not growing your own food, if you don't have a local network of getting a way to get your food, then it's going to these big farms, all right? And the big farms are there because people are reliant on grocery stores. And so we have this grocery store system that we've all increasingly over the last 100 years have become more and more reliant on. We've given our agency to going and shopping at these grocery stores. And this is totally related to what I'm talking about. But we've come to agree that, yep, we're going to go get all of our produce, all of our food from ABC grocery store, okay? And that grocery store is sourcing it from these big farms to get the best price. So, think about that. If you want to have the best produce with the least amount of disruption, I would recommend finding a local source or growing it yourself, okay? Figuring out how. Right now, since there are grocery stores, it's like the least riskiest time in your life that you can learn to grow something from seed. Right now, yesterday I picked my first cucumber off of my plants. I threw them out there. They're just in dirt in raised garden beds, and I just go out there and I kind of tend to them once every 2 or 3 days. I go out and I give them a little bit of attention. I make sure I water them, and then I let them do their thing because everything wants to grow. Everything wants to live. So with these big farms, what happens is you have a lot of people out there because there does need to be somebody out there taking and harvesting all of the food, but there are no bathrooms out there, okay? There are no bathrooms out on these big fields. Just go drive on a field, go on YouTube, and I'm sure you can watch people drive by huge fields of whatever. You don't see restrooms out there. You don't see outhouses out there. So they're literally going wherever they can, okay? Not to be grotesque or gross, but that is the reality of these big farms. If you're going to have a bunch of labor out on the farms and they have to go to the bathroom, they're going to find a place to go to the bathroom somewhere out there. So you can imagine how fecal matter can get all over the place. So I am very much into agency and your own sovereignty and being really conscious of where you're giving that away. I shop at grocery stores. I use Amazon for things. I try to be as mindful and as resourceful as possible where I'm not like going out and getting a whole bunch of brand new things. My phone is an iPhone 11 that I'm streaming this on. I have an iPad and I'm not getting a new thing every 2 or 3 years. Like I've had my phone since 2020. So it's 6 years old and it was even refurbished since then. So I try to be as frugal as possible, as resourceful as possible, and get things as close to home as I can. However, there are things that we have the beautiful system that we have now. But I also mindfully do it. I know that if I'm going to get a phone, I'm like, okay, do I really need a phone? Do I really need a computer? Do I really need to go get XYZ, whatever it is? And I really think about the effort that I'm putting into all of that and the effort it takes to get to me. And then I think about the effort of my garden and how is that important to me and how much energy am I going to devote to it. Like this next year, well, at the end of the year, I am going to be taking out all the dirt from the bed and putting new dirt in and tending to that so that I have the best dirt, because you are what you eat eats. So I want to make sure my dirt is healthy, that everything looks good and I'm tending to it, because agency is your own personal agency is very, very important. You're the author of your life. So how are you authoring it? All right? And maybe that means growing baby leaf lettuce. And it doesn't take much. You could do it in a little tray and just it keeps on growing and growing. It's insane. But we go out and we buy the lettuce, the cheapest that we can find. All right. Thankfully, I don't think that parasite is too hard to get rid of, but it's definitely a thing. Okay, so going back to why does superintelligence frighten us? So we're talking about the misinformation and the deep fakes. That is definitely something that you're wanting to be really cognizant of. Privacy and surveillance is probably, if I was looking at this and listing it, that would be at the top of my list of things that are important to me. You know, how are we being protected with our privacy and with the surveillance state being what it is? How am I being protected? How are my rights being protected? How's my privacy being protected? Okay, so that is something that is a legitimate, I would be legitimately asking questions about. The other one is concentration of power. So, we're talking about power and how knowledge was this thing that was seen as a power for a long time. I often think of Littlefinger in Game of Thrones, how he was like, I have all this information, and he thought he was just hot shit with all of his top dog information. And Queen Cersei is like, you want to see what power is? And she's like, basically telling the knights that are surrounding her to kill him. And then she's like, oh, wait, no, I changed my mind. And they stop, right? So power, while knowledge is power, we're moving into a new realm of what power is. So it's going to be an interesting shift and change. And so if you're really cognizant of what power is and how it's shifting and how it's moving, you can definitely position yourself. Hello, Celestic Queen. Hi, Queen of Eagles. I hope you're doing well. I got the bikinis on. I'm so happy. Okay, and then the last one is the rapid technological changes that can be a little hard to pay attention to. It's really hard to focus in on, where technology is going. Like right now, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 3 years that we're starting to use, and I think the technology is already there, but brain computer interface technology, or BCI, where they're going to be getting rid of things like, I don't know if you can see it, probably can't. They're going to be getting rid of things like keyboards. Like my keyboard it's totally mouse, it's wired in. I'm so silly. But keyboards are going to be making a thing of the past, and then having wearables where it's not even injected into you. It's going to be a wearable where it's monitoring how you think, what you're thinking, what your next decision is going to be, what your emotions are, and then your next move. It's going to be able to predict your next move. I am not going to be surprised when that technology comes out, because I already have been informing myself that that's the technology that is being worked on right now. There's a huge technological race going on where those things are going to be coming out. So that can frighten us. It's something that we would maybe think is restricted to being in like a science fiction movie or, whatever. But it's something that is being developed now. It's like kind of those things are little path predictors of where we're going in the future. Crushed Cowboy said hi. Hello, Crushed Cowboy. Welcome to Scholastic Intelligence Podcast, and thank you for watching, and I hope you like and subscribe. Okay, so these are real concerns. They're worth discussing, and I only bring them up because I want to illustrate that it's not just, oh, don't be afraid of what's coming. It's like, be paying attention to the things that need to be paid attention to. Okay. Beneath these concerns that I just listed, there may be some existential questions that come up. And if, like, one of the things that I think people are legitimately questioning is, if something can think faster than me, if something can create what I create, if something can solve problems I once believed were only human things that were uniquely human to solve, then who am I? Right? So AI really starts to have us question, what is my identity as a human? What makes me valuable? What makes me uniquely human? Who am I? Okay? And that is a legitimate question that happens with every shift in technology. I bring up the Industrial Revolution because I believe that that time span alone had so much disruption, so much change, so much question in, what is, like, I can't get a job, what's my labor good for? And I don't know, I hypothesize, maybe this is a good theoretical question of, maybe that's kind of what brought in the Great Depression, is all of this, like, fancy new technology that was coming out, where, they were, before all of that, it was very much rural. You had to have labor to work a farm, human labor. There wasn't all these beautiful technologies that we have now. Couldn't go powder coat a thing. You're down working in a coal mine, bringing the coal up so you can have fuel for the winter. Okay? So those questions are legitimate. All right? They're beautiful. Beautiful. Perfect lip color. Thank you. It's my favorite. It's called Eat Cake. Eat Cake? I bought 2 of these. I actually had one of them before, and I used it all. It was like, and I thought it was never available, so I found it online, and I was like, I'm getting 2. So I have 2 of them, and one of them is almost gone, so I had to get more. All right, so let's move into the next part. Now, we've uncovered what AI really is kind of doing on this existential level, which is just asking us, what is making me human, and where's my value in being human? So the hidden unveiling, this is where I become really curious. Okay, so what if AI isn't creating an identity crisis, but revealing an identity crisis? All right. We have quietly built our worth on perhaps productivity, maybe intelligence, maybe our credentials, our uniqueness, and being indispensable, thinking that, can't get rid of me. And that, I mean, if you've ever worked in manufacturing, you know that that's kind of a little bit of a grinder. There's very much a dispensable flow that kind of goes into that, because it's whenever, people are buying and you need to go out and make stuff, it's like boom, 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 like hurry up and get things here. And then when you experience a low, it's like, oh, we don't have enough work to keep you guys busy. We're going to have to get rid of some of you. Okay. So if we've been quietly building our worth on how productive we are, how intelligent we are, how, what our credentials are, what makes us unique, and us thinking that we're somehow indispensable into whatever we're doing. And now we've got this competition that can come in and just do it lickety split. Yeah, we're going to have this little apocalypse, personal apocalypse, identity apocalypse of revealing, like, okay, I've been putting my value of myself into how productive I am, into how intelligent I am, into how well I speak, and how well I look, and what I look like on paper. And if the machine can outperform you in those tasks, you start to think maybe my worth is going to disappear. And that is going to make me being a human not worth it. All right. So, but does it make your worth disappear, or is it revealing areas where you've put your worth into something that is tangible, and your worth is something much more valuable? Okay. So I like to say, does that question reveal that I've been confusing my value with my output? All right. All last year, I was doing tons of stuff on looking into how is the nervous system, how is it in all these areas of my life? How do I get my nervous system to regulate? How do I get my nervous system to regulate? What happens when my nervous system is dysregulated? Okay. I was looking at the internal workings of my system, and how I was interacting with the world around me. Okay. So the questions that I was asking about, like productivity and intelligence and uniqueness and all those things, really are these outputs, these external pieces of you. And I just did a series, a coherence arc series, where, I just stripped everything all the way down to bare bones. Let's start with our foundation of who am I, right? Who am I? Do I have agency over myself? And working all the way up to how am I signaling? What is my output? What does my light look like? What is my frequency? What is my output, and what do I want it to look like? All right. We have so much control in this body mechanism that we've been given and entrusted with. So and perhaps the unveiling is not AI. Okay. The apocalypse is not AI. The unveiling is our attachments to the things that we think mean something to us, but it's like really just a performance. It's this attachment to the performance, this attachment to what I look like, this attachment to what I look like on social media, what I look like at work, what do I look like in the home, what do I look like to my friends, what do I look like to the public, like what do I look like, what is the performance? And really, we have to be able to strip that away and look at ourselves like honestly, and with this deep revelation and connection to who we truly are deep down on the inside. And I will say that what I'm talking about, is not like something you can just do overnight. It's something that you work on constantly, because we have so many things that are stumbling blocks in our lives that make us start to think, oh, my performance isn't good, my output isn't good. Oh, that person, they probably see me as this. I'm a failure. I'm not doing well. And then you start to question your own worth, not just as being a human, but you start to question your own worth when your worth is tied to these outputs. Okay. And that brings me in. I did talk about it in a stream 75 or 6. One of them, the Great Disembodiment. Okay. Now, I talk about these things because they're things that I've actually had to strip down of my own self and really look at on a deeper perspective. And it's an investigation, it's a self-investigation that began within me, a while ago, but I would say I got really serious about it last year, after I was like, going through this really deep grieving process where I was grieving like the loss of family members. And then it like really made me look at, okay, now who am I? If I don't have these really closely connected people in my life, now who am I? I really had to like reevaluate how I saw myself, how I was interacting with those around me. So long before AI, we were already becoming disconnected from our direct experiences. With social media and the internet, you would think, okay, now I can connect to like millions and billions of people. But so many people during this time became even more disconnected from the people around them. Our conversations became content. So now we can go, like, I know that I'm having a content conversation here on YouTube. But, overall, from 2009, when the smartphone came out, I shouldn't say iPhone was the first one, but the smartphone came out, okay, we started really building content. And yeah, MySpace was around, YouTube was around, but really when the smartphone came out and people were able to get connected to the internet from anywhere in the world, I mean, it was really clunky back then, I think those of you that remember that time. But our conversation slowly over the times that we've had this became content. Our community became these networks, right? Knowledge became endless information. We can go online and like look up anything. We don't even have to like go online. We can literally say, hey Siri, blah, 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 blah. And then the Siri will say, oh, blah, 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 back. I don't use Siri, but that's how I imagine it working. And so with the great disembodiment that I'm calling the great disembodiment, it didn't start with AI. It started long before that, okay? Presence became performance, and the body became another project to optimize. And so we are kind of stuck in this logical capacity, like performance KPI measurement of ourselves, trying to optimize every part of our lives. And it wasn't AI that was causing this or inventing this trajectory. Now, AI did accelerate it. It does accelerate it and does expose it. So my investigation is looking in all of these areas of our lives, emotionally, socially, mentally, spiritually, looking at it. That's why my podcast is named Celestic Intelligence Podcast, because I'm looking at from a soul level, the holistic piece, solistic piece, the whole piece of our body and how we're interacting with each area of our lives. Because it's very important to me that all of these are being cultivated. All of these parts of me have been entrusted to me. And so I want to look deeply into each area of these spaces that I want to be embodied in and really just reconnect to the piece. Okay, I don't want to be just content. I want to have deep conversations with people. Okay, I don't like the fair weather conversations of like, oh, the weather is blah blah blah. Like, it just doesn't bring me satisfaction. What really brings me satisfaction is like people talking about, some of their conspiracy theories, people talking about, oh, I connected this piece and that piece. I really enjoy those kind of conversations. And it's not just looking at, okay, what content can I watch and be disconnected from because I don't know who this person is, but just watch it and I'm like, oh, I connect with that. Sort of. Like, I like that content, okay? When I think about community, I don't want to just be networking. I want to be deeply connected with, from soul to soul, with another person, and having a rich in relationship with them. Okay, I don't want tons of information. I like having information. I love researching. I'm like the hermit. Okay, I'm like the hermit with the cloak, and I'm like with a candle, like going through all these scrolls literally on the internet. That's kind of how I am. I'm like, okay, where's the internet? But I do have to like pull myself. Okay, knowledge isn't everything. Just, wait for the information to come to you. It's going to be richer that way. All right. So really, part of my investigation, the reason that I podcast is because I'm looking at how do I embody who I truly am and really remove myself from the performance of being a good employee at work, a nice citizen, a good citizen. I really don't want to put myself into piece myself into that. I'm really looking at, not looking at my body as this project to optimize. I want my body to be a genuine, authentic reflection of my inner world to the outer world. All right. And I want to do it richly and feel and be embodied. Because I think that this is where a lot of people are really struggling, of that feeling, that disembodiment. And that's where burnout comes out. And have had burnout, so just know that I've been there. Okay. So what cannot be automated? As we're looking at the revelation, the unveiling of what AI really is doing, is unveiling ourselves, we look at what cannot be automated. And this is where I become hopeful, because you guys know, if you've been watching my podcast, that the reason I started my podcast is because I knew deep down the ability that our 3D vessel has with the connection to the divine, the ability to have that connection, the ability to have these mental conversations, is that our bodies are a muse of all the technology. Okay. So all the technology that's happening is a mimicry of the creation. All right. So I like to say our bodies, our human bodies, are a muse of the technology. Okay. So AI can process information. We can process information. And AI does it to a better degree. It's no different than having a calculator. Okay. The calculator came on the scene, and that was a revolutionary thing. All right. Think about it. Like back in, the 60s, they didn't have calculators that we have today. Now the calculators can process a lot of information. We have Excel spreadsheets now, process a lot of information. Now we have AI that can process a lot of information. All right. AI can generate language. It can recognize the patterns, and it assists with decisions. It can assist with what's the best decision, what are all the decisions, what's the patterns that are here. Okay. But many people would say being human is more than information processing. Being human is having this lived experience. And that's why I say, when my investigations are, okay, how does the nervous system work? What is being a parasympathetic versus a sympathetic? And what are the things that I can look at within myself to recognize, am I in a survival mechanism, or am I in a rest digest system? So having the lived experience, wanting that rich connection with people, wanting that rich connection with myself, and having being able to see people blossom, and being able to see the world, and smell things and really just have these rich experiences. Like our bodies are able to do that and also have really deep spiritual connection. Okay? So lived experience, embodiment, being able to feel all the things that we can feel, being able to be sad, being able to be happy, being able to cry, being able to be moved, listening to a beautiful song, right? And then really experience that richly within our own bodies is amazing, okay? Having wonder, just being awed with, like, I'm in awe of our bodies. Our human bodies are so amazing. I did a lot of like case study research, and all of these new things that come out about how our mind is, what our glands are, how they are represented in our body. It just brings even more and more wonder. And then, even though I know that these amazing things are happening in our bodies, sometimes it's nice to have that case study backup of like, yeah, you're right. It's like almost like, yeah, that's definitely true. So being able to have that wonder, part of the lived experience is also experiencing love, okay, on a deep level of love. And that is such a wonderful vibration to feel. Other parts of the lived experience is also experiencing grief, okay? Experiencing grief is a part of that lived experience that AI isn't necessarily going to have that experience and that feeling of grief. I talked about it last week, but stewardship. Stewardship is a part of being human and having a lived experience. And if you guys missed the episode on stewardship, I did that last week and it was amazing. So definitely hear that. Gondra. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Is that Brazil? Hello from Brazil. So stewardship is another one of those amazing things that, you're being entrusted with this body. You're being entrusted with the relationships that you have in your life. Like you're looking at, how am I taking care of this energy? And that's part of that lived experience, is being able to manage all that energy. Okay. Other parts of being human are responsibility, again, relationship, and then one of the things that I don't think is necessarily overlooked, but a lot of people don't talk about, is meaning, like having purpose in your life, okay? And so all of these things, the embodiment, the love, the grief, the stewardship, the meaning, is all part of this beautiful lived experience that you as a human are entrusted and get to have. All right. So we're in the 3D realm right now, but there are principalities and powers that are not of this world that would love to come and be in this human experience. Okay. And I don't know that, but it's in the Bible that is definitely a thing. And I do believe that there are spiritual influences that do want to be in our bodies, in the human 3D realm. Okay? So, but you as being human, you're already here. You're already living and experiencing. And, the whole list of things that I just listed, you've experienced in one way or another during the duration of your life, no matter how old or young you are. All right? So we can approach these philosophically, we can approach these psychologically, scientifically, or even spiritually, but every one of these invite participation, okay? And that's something that AI is not able to do at this point, unable to do, is have that participation in this lived experience that you get to live in now, that you are living now. Okay? So I don't know if you got to snap out of it, or if you're already there and you're just like, preach on, girl, sing it on top of the mountains. But if you're in your life and you're feeling, you know, maybe a lower processing of, you know, my life is like worthless or meaningless or whatever, really start to look at, why do I experience that? What lie, what thing am I being fearful of that would make me demean having this participation of human lived experience? Okay? Because it's more than just computation. It's more than performance. And I've been saying this for months. It's more than performance. All right? You get to be in it. You're present now in it. Okay? Kindred angels, welcome, girl. All right. So part 6 is going to be the end of, oh, I'm doing pretty good. An hour. So good. Okay. So the real apocalypse is not that AI is becoming super intelligent. All right? I don't think that that's the apocalypse that we're experiencing right now. Oh, thank you. This, okay. This dress is the only dress that I have that has pockets. And I know all of the girls are like, oh my gosh, it has pockets. I do not like dresses with pockets. There, I said it. And I own well over 100 dresses. I stopped buying them because I was like, okay, just need to calm down for a little bit. But yeah, it's well over 100. It's my summer dress, after work dress. Okay, so the real apocalypse. Maybe the real apocalypse is the removal of the veil of our performance, of what we think we have to do, of our output. And now we're kind of in this threshold experience, going from the information age to the AI age. We're in this threshold experience, or this threshold moment, where things are going to be shifting. Labor is going to be shifting. The way we operate is going to be shifting. Our economic structures are going to be shifting. Like, everything is going to be shifting, okay? There was the dot-com bubble. The dot-com in the 2000s and Y2K. And everyone thought that everything was just... Y2K was crazy. People thought everything was just going to shut down and the world was going to end. Like, they thought that was going to be, quote-unquote, the apocalypse, okay? The apocalyptic moment where now everything's not going to work. You know, there's going to be pure chaos and all this stuff. And that didn't happen, okay? So just be mindful of, you know, am I really afraid of what's happening? We can look at this as a removal of our veil. Our eyes are opening. We're being rebirthed. That's how it feels. It feels like you're being rebirthed. And it's a beautiful feeling. I know. Girls of the internet, don't come at me. Don't come at me. I don't like pockets with dresses, or dresses with pockets. I think the most scandalous thing is I have over 100 dresses. I don't know if that is. I have like one pair of jeans that I never wear. Maybe 2. Okay, so the revelation that we have mistaken is information for wisdom. So instead of just seeking information, we really should be seeking wisdom. And that revelation of wisdom is what's going to be coming up, because we have that unique human ability to experience wisdom. It's a beautiful thing. It's so wonderful. Okay. Um, Efficiency for purpose. We think that efficiency is more valuable than purpose. Okay. Productivity for worth. We think that whatever our output, whatever we're productive in, is our worth, and just not true. And I still get hung up on some of these things, so I'm not like 100% perfect. I'm just sharing these with you. Intelligence for consciousness. Okay. We have this beautiful ability to be conscious of what we're doing in our lives, of how our lives are unfolding. And we have so much control over it. It's amazing. But we mistake intelligence for that consciousness, right? And then finally, achievements for identity. We think if we become XYZ, then that's where our value is, when really our value is our own identity. So perhaps AI is revealing what we've forgotten to cultivate within ourselves. And that's the real apocalypse moment. All right. Okay. I hope this hour-long, beautiful discussion helps you to really reevaluate where your worth is. And it's like you are already worth it. You're already here participating. Just become conscious and participate more with your own life. And figure out how to become more embodied into what really truly matters, which are all these things that I just listed: wisdom, purpose or meaning, worth, consciousness, identity, really discovering what that is and what that means to you. And you'll start to shift your signal and your transmission and your frequency into a higher level of consciousness, into this just, it feels exhilarating. And you have, like, it's great. You have something to work towards. And it doesn't matter what level you're at, you're not behind. Like, things are not falling apart immediately. And if they do, what a great time for you to show off, how your intelligence and your other outputs and your productivity work. And I mean, I spent so many years in fear. I was like teaching myself how to can food. I was learning how to bake bread. I was gardening. I was doing all of these things because I was like, if I'm not productive, I'm going to die. And it wasn't like that. It was like, if I'm not productive, then I'm not going to make it through whatever the end of the world is. I'm not going to be valuable to people. But really what the value is how am I showing up? How can I connect with people? If I'm just focusing on being productive and I'm not focusing on having solid relationships around me and developing those relationships and valuing all of those relationships and everything that I'm stewarding, then what's the point of me having a pantry full of canned food? Not that I don't like keeping that stuff, but if that's where I'm placing my value is, how much toilet paper have I stocked up? How much food do I have in my pantry? How much money do I have? Or how much asset do I have? Or whatever it is. If I'm looking at it from that perspective, then I'm in fear and I'm not really present and conscious and embodied in myself. And I had to have that real life, real discussion with myself too. Because really what it meant was I didn't trust that God was going to be providing the manna from heaven in the event that something in my everyday life shifted and changed. That I didn't trust that I was going to be provided for. Okay? And you're not going to get there if you're looking at these outputs and the performance as a way that's where you're showing up and you're showing how you're valuable. You're already valuable. You already have access to wisdom and the purpose and the worth and the consciousness. You've just got to see that in your own life for your own self, right? Okay, so our closing reflection, we're looking at what the greatest question of our time is here in this moment. I don't think the question is, will AI become like humans? It's not the most valuable and greatest question right now. I think the greater question is, as AI becomes more capable, will we remember what it means to be human? Okay? That's really the question. I think that is greater than, will AI become like humans? If it's becoming like humans, then becoming a human is valuable, right? And perhaps the apocalypse isn't the end of the world, but perhaps it's an unveiling of everything that we've hidden beneath our obsession with performance, with productivity, and with certainty. All right? And I think this unveiling is carrying a really beautiful invitation that it's not simply knowing more, but becoming more deeply present with what it means to be alive. Okay? You have the beautiful breath within you, and so you get to connect to that. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I hope this was uplifting and just challenges you a little bit, maybe even just a little, to become more embodied with yourself. All right. And to stop looking at how you're performing and thinking that that is what is bringing you value, when yeah, it's nice to have skills. I'm not saying to be skillless. However, I do believe that being more in tune with who you are is going to be even more important, especially with AI the way that it is. When I was kind of looking at AI in the beginning of my digital age investigation last year, I kind of was imagining it as an energy of AI as kind of this masculine energy. It's cold, it's logical, it's straight to the point. It just wants to solve problems, which is very much like our mental brain, what it's doing as well. And if we're having this rise in this AI energy where it's just like this deeply masculine energy, naturally we're going to need a feminine energy, which is connecting to our bodies and feeling and all those human characteristics and traits that I was talking about, where you're looking at your consciousness, where you're looking at your agency and how you're participating, the things that you're stewarding in, and being connected to wisdom, and having wisdom be invited into your body, and to be just truly be alive. Because we are if you're a Christian and you believe that you're the bride of Christ, you're very much that's a very feminine energy. It just invites you to participate. And what's a bride do? Makes a home worth living. And really, that's what we're doing with our bodies. We're looking at our bodies as these beautiful inner sanctuaries, and we're making it a place that is worth living. Okay? And really adding value to being alive and present and having wonderful, beautiful experiences and deep relationships and having nice conversations with people. All right? And really just being this magnetic presence in whatever way that you are showing up in your identity. Okay? All right. We're not machines. We're humans. And if AI is looking to be human, then obviously being human is very valuable. So go be valuable, my beautiful little humans, my radical beauties. I love you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. This has been episode number 77, The Apocalypse, which is, I think, just a beautiful thing. And I hope to turn the apocalypse on its head. I don't think that any movies have been doing a service. It's been doing a bit of a disservice to us and really kind of fostering this fear idea into our brains that now anytime we think apocalypse, we think Apocalypse Now, or that's the movie I think about anyways. All right, well, I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like and subscribe, and it helps my algorithm. I am looking forward to some new additions to, I know I've been saying it, but I've kind of redecorated, as you guys can see, my studio office. And yeah, just look forward to some new changes, because I'm authoring that in right now. So anyways, I love you guys. Have a wonderful week. Please join me next Tuesday at 5:30 Pacific time for my next stream, my next episode. And I hope all of you are doing well and have a wonderful day. Bye, and thanks for joining.